Dear students, in this session we will discuss about applications of Henry's law. So, this Henry's law has got a very beautiful applications. Let us discuss one by one. So, dear students, this Henry's law give a simple relationship between partial pressure of the gas and the solubility of gas in the solution. We may also call it as partial pressure of the gas which is present above the surface and mole fraction of the gas which is present in the solution. Okay, so this Henry's law has got very good examples or applications. Okay, so let us see. So first application is, so this Henry's law is used in the preparation of carbonated beverages. It is used in the preparation of carbonated beverages. So let me tell you what is that carbonated beverages. So dear students, soft drinks or soda water, whatever we are all having, they are nothing but carbonated water. Carbonated water means when CO2 is dissolved in water, they are called carbonated beverages. Okay, so why they are using Henry's law means, so remember they are dissolving CO2 gas in water. If they want to increase the amount of CO2 gas into the solution, then definitely they have to increase the pressure of CO2 gas. To increase the solubility of CO2 gas in the solution, they must increase the partial pressure of CO2 gas. Hence, Henry's law is used in the preparation of carbonated beverages. So, what is the purpose means? To increase the concentration of CO2 gas in the solution, to increase the solubility of CO2 gas into the solution, the bottles are sealed under high pressure. They are sealed under high pressure. That's why whenever you open a soft drink bottle, soon after opening what happens? Pressure will decrease. As a result, the solubility will decrease. Hence, some of the gas will comes out of the solution. So that is what the concept. So that is the first application. Second one is, it is used by scuba or sea divers. Sea divers. Scuba is a name of country where sea diving is common. Okay, scuba or sea divers for respiration purpose. For respiration. So dear students, so these sea divers generally carry a cylinder. Generally that is filled with air. It is filled with air, and we know that in air there is a larger volume of nitrogen gas is present. As the deep sea divers undergo depth of the sea, down the sea level, pressure goes on increases. Pressure goes on increases. As the pressure of nitrogen gas increases, it starts dissolving into the blood. It starts dissolving into the blood. As a result, the concentration of nitrogen gas in the blood also increases. Okay. So now, when they come out of the sea, so as they start coming outside, as they move upward, so once again the pressure decreases. As a result, the nitrogen gas which is dissolved into the blood, it starts coming outside. As a result, the person may suffer with severe pain. So that pain is called bends. That particular condition is called bends. So now, scuba or sea divers used this Henry's law for respiration, because what happens? So now they are carrying a cylinder filled with air, but that is diluted with helium gas. That is diluted with helium gas. Now what happened? The concentration of nitrogen is going to decrease. As a result, that may avoid the disease bends. Okay, that is the second beautiful application. Coming to the third one, once again, the mountain climbers. You might have seen the mountain climbers also carry a oxygen cylinder. So what happens? So don't we have oxygen gas at higher altitudes? Yes, we have. What is happening means, see, mountain climbers used this Henry's law for respiration once again. So why it is means, so at higher altitude the partial pressure of oxygen gas decreases, the low concentration of oxygen in blood and tissues makes the person becomes weak and the person becomes unable to think clearly. The condition is called anoxia. The condition is called anoxia. In order to avoid all these difficulties, so that's why the mountain climbers carry a oxygen cylinder with them. So once again it is this condition was understood by Henry's law. So these are the three important and beautiful applications of Henry's law. Let us write down. It is used in the preparation of carbonated beverages. It is used in the preparation of carbonated beverages. So how it is used means to increase the solubility of CO2, to increase the solubility of CO2 in soda water, to increase the solubility of CO2 in soft drinks. Bottles are sealed. Bottles are sealed under high pressure. If you increase the pressure, then the amount of CO2 gas dissolved will be more. That is what our Henry's law. Second one, it is used by scuba divers. It is used by scuba. Scuba is the name of country. Scuba are sea divers. Sea divers for respiration. Respiration. So why they are using means in order to avoid the condition what we call bends. So this bends is because of the high concentration of nitrogen dissolved into the blood. Okay. So to avoid bends, and toxic effects of high concentration of nitrogen gas. Third application, it is used by mountain climbers. It is used by mountain climbers for respiration. So Henry's law is used for mountain climbers also. It is because if they go to inhale the oxygen present at higher altitude, what is going to happen? The partial pressure of oxygen at higher altitude is going to decrease. As a result, in our blood, a minimum level of oxygen must be dissolved into the blood to work properly. So that is not going to happen at higher altitudes. As a result, they will face a problem called anoxia. So anoxia is a condition in which a person won't think properly and the person may become weak because of the low concentration of oxygen gas. That is the condition anoxia. at higher altitude, at higher altitudes, the partial pressure of oxygen is low. Partial pressure of O2 is low. Lower concentration of O2 in blood and tissues, may cause the person unable to think, and becomes weak. So this condition is called anoxia. So that person will suffer by anoxia. In order to avoid this anoxia, they must carry a oxygen cylinder with them. So to respire properly, they must carry a oxygen cylinder with them. So dear students, till now what we have discussed, our Henry's law, it is the effect of pressure on solubility of gas in liquid. Effect of pressure on solubility of gas in liquid. So coming to the second factor, important factor, that is temperature. How temperature is going to affect on the solubility of gas in liquid? So dear students, so dissolution of a gas in water or any liquid, dissolution of a gas in water or any liquid is a exothermic phenomena. Now you can understand how the solubility is going to vary with temperature. So if the dissolution of gas in liquid is exothermic process, then the solubility decreases. Solubility decreases with increase in temperature. Solubility decreases with increase in temperature or with rise in temperature. So coming to the second point, effect of temperature. So that is important one for sake of exam. Effect of temperature. Effect of temperature. Solubility of gases in liquid. Solubility of gas in liquid decreases. Very important one mark question. Solubility of gas in liquid decreases with rise in temperature. With rise in temperature. What is the reason? Means dissolution of a gas in liquid. Dissolution of a gas in liquid is a exothermic process. You know what is exothermic process? A process in which heat energy is released. As this dissolution is exothermic process, I have already told you, in exothermic process the solubility decreases with increase in temperature. So this point has been already discussed in previous session also. So this is about effect of pressure and effect of temperature on solubility of a gas in liquid. So the next concept is vapor pressure of liquid solutions. Vapor pressure of liquid solutions. So dear students, you know what is mean by a liquid solution? A liquid solution is one in which solvent is liquid. In which solvent is liquid. Solute may be a solid or liquid. It may be a gas. Solute may be solid, liquid or gas, but solvent must be a liquid. Okay, so generally liquid solvent is volatile in nature. It is volatile. What do you mean by volatile means? So these are the liquids which are having a low boiling points. So their boiling point is low, so that's why they will evaporate at a lower temperature itself. Such type of liquids are called volatile liquids. Okay, so generally solvents which are liquid, they are volatile in nature. The solute may or may not be volatile here. So we are going to discuss vapor pressure of mainly two types of binary solutions. One is vapor pressure of liquid in liquid solutions. Another one is vapor pressure of solid in liquid type of solution. In order to understand the concept, first let me tell you what is this vapor pressure. Okay, first I will write what is a liquid solution. So liquid solutions are formed when solvent is liquid. When solvent is a liquid, solute may be gas, liquid or solid. Okay, so this is about what is a liquid solution. So we are going to discuss the vapor pressure of mainly two types of liquid solutions. One is liquid in liquid solutions, another one is solid in liquid solutions. So now I will tell you what is this vapor pressure. What is this vapor pressure? Vapor pressure of liquid solutions. Vapor pressure of liquid solution. Vapor pressure of liquid solutions. So dear students, what is this vapor pressure means? So the name itself indicating it is the pressure exerted by the vapors. Vapor pressure in the sense pressure exerted by the vapors. Okay, so now where they are exerting the pressure is important. Dear students, remember, always a liquid is associated with its vapors. A liquid is always associated with its vapors. Even when you keep the water in a bottle and cap it, after some time you will feel that water droplets are present on the surface of empty bottle which is present above the liquid. What is that? They are nothing but vapors. So that's why a liquid is always associated with its vapors, or even a solution is also associated with liquid vapors. So now what is happening? So now these vapors, they exert pressure over the solution when both of them are in equilibrium. That is what called vapor pressure. So what is vapor pressure means? It is the pressure exerted by the vapors of a liquid over the solution or over the another liquid when they are in equilibrium. I am repeating, it is the pressure exerted by the vapors of a liquid over the solution or over another liquid when they are in equilibrium. Okay, so the pressure exerted by vapors of a liquid over the solution when they are in equilibrium. So this is called vapor pressure. Okay, so this is about the definition of vapor pressure. So now we will discuss what happens to vapor pressure of liquid solution. In order to define vapor pressure of liquid solution, we have to state a new relationship between this vapor pressure of liquid and mole fraction of the solution, that is called Raoult's law, an important law which describes the vapor pressure of liquid and mole fraction of another liquid. So here liquid solution in the sense solute is also liquid, solvent is also liquid. Suppose if both the liquids are volatile in nature, volatile means I already told you, they are having lower boiling point and hence they can be evaporate at lower temperature itself. So now suppose if both the liquid solutions are volatile in nature, because liquid solvents are always volatile. Okay, so for such type of volatile solvents we can define their vapor pressure, and it will be related to mole fraction. Of the component. So now we shall discuss what is this Raoult's law. Okay, dear students, hope you remember our Henry's law. So Henry's law is for what? It is for gas in liquid type of solution. Now I am talking of what? Liquid in liquid type of solutions. Dear students, for gas I have described as partial pressure of the gas. So because every gas exert its individual pressure, that is called partial pressure. Now the same term if I going to use for a liquid, by this time you might have understood that liquids are having vapor pressure. So instead of simply partial pressure, I am going to say partial vapor pressure of a liquid. So for gas I have used partial pressure. For liquid, how I am going to use the term? Partial vapor pressure. Okay, so this Raoult's law is applicable for a binary mixture. This is the law for solution of volatile liquids. This law is for solution of volatile liquids, or sometimes it is called Raoult's law of binary mixture. So how can we define this law? Means very simple. For a solution of volatile liquids, partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to or simply proportional to mole fraction of the component present in the solution. So indirectly it is also defining the relationship between partial vapor pressure and mole fraction, but we are going to define for both the components here, because both the components are liquids only. So that's why for component 1 also partial vapor pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction. Even for second component also partial vapor pressure is proportional to mole fraction of second component, like that. Okay, I am defining one more time. So for solution of volatile liquids, partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to mole fraction present in the solution, mole fraction of the component present in the solution. So this is the statement of Raoult's law. It is important for 2 marks. Let us write down. For a solution of volatile liquids, partial vapor pressure of each component is directly proportional to mole fraction, present in the solution, So this is what our Raoult's law. Okay, sometime it is asked, state Raoult's law for binary mixture or state Raoult's law of volatile liquids, it may be asked. Okay, so now let us see what is the mathematical expression for this Raoult's law. So I have told you we are describing partial vapor pressure for each component here. So here we are discussing for what? A binary solution. Binary solution means 2 components and both the components are liquids only. So therefore for component 1, how can I describe? Means say partial vapor pressure of component 1 is P1 is directly proportional to x1. P1 is directly proportional to x1. So that gives rise to, let us define a proportionality constant here. So P1 is equal to P1 naught into x1. So this is for partial vapor pressure of first component is directly proportional to its mole fraction. So here it can be written as P1 is equal to P1 naught into x1. For component 2, for second component, it is described as P2 is proportional to x2. P2 is proportional to x2. That can be written as P2 is equal to P2 naught into x2. So this is the mathematical expression for Raoult's law. So P1 is partial vapor pressure of component 1, x1 is mole fraction of component 1. What is P1 naught means? It is partial vapor pressure of pure component 1. Pure component means it is a pure solvent which is not yet dissolved in solution. So similarly P2 is partial vapor pressure of component 2. P2 naught is partial vapor pressure of pure component 2 and x2 is mole fraction of component 2. So that is about Raoult's law. Okay. So further if you want, so now what happens? We have defined partial vapor pressure of first component and second component. Suppose if you want to calculate total pressure of the solution. So in such case, if you want to calculate the total pressure exerted by the mixture of these two liquid solution, means what we have to do? We have to go for Dalton's law of partial pressure. By taking Dalton's law of partial pressure, so total pressure can be calculated in a simple way, because according to Dalton's law, the total pressure of the mixture is equal to the sum of individual partial pressures. So here we have to take partial vapor pressures. Okay, I mean to say, if you want to take total pressure of the solution, then the P total will be equal to P1 plus P2. So we have to add up the pressure exerted by these two components, then you will get the total pressure of the mixture or total pressure of the solution according to Dalton's law. According to Raoult's law, for component 1, P1 is proportional to x1. I have already written. So that is nothing but P1 is equal to P1 naught into x1. So similarly, for second component, P2 is proportional to x2, or can be written as P2 is equal to P2 naught into x2. Okay, so now I want to calculate the total pressure. So hope you know this one: partial pressure of component 1, partial pressure of component 2, partial pressure of pure component 1, x1 is mole fraction of component 1, P2 naught is partial pressure of pure component 2, x2 is mole fraction of component 2. Okay, I want to calculate total pressure. So according to Dalton's law of partial pressure, according to Dalton's law of partial pressure, so Dalton's law is for to calculate the total pressure. It is to calculate total pressure of the solution. So P total is equal to P1 plus P2. I have to go, because according to Dalton's law, so total pressure exerted by the mixture is equal to, so pressure exerted by the individual components I have written. So now what is P1? So P1 is P1 naught into x1 plus P2 is P2 naught into x2, and we know that this mole fraction x1 plus x2 is equal to 1. So I have proved this one while discussing mole fraction. I want to replace this x1. I want to write x1 in terms of x2. How can I write? So x1 is equal to 1 minus x2. Even x2 can also be written as in terms of x1, no problem. So let us substitute the value of x1 here. So P1 naught into 1 minus x2 plus P2 naught into x2. So let us multiply. So P1 naught minus P1 naught into x2 plus P2 naught into x2. Now x2 is common here. Let us remove it. P1 naught plus, I am taking plus term first, plus, see here, plus term is P2 naught minus P1 naught. So the common term is x2. I will write like this. So P total is equal to P1 naught plus P2 naught minus P1 naught into x2. So now the total pressure of the solution I have expressed in terms of mole fraction of second component. I have expressed total pressure of solution in terms of mole fraction of the second component. Dear students, remember component 1, in my discussion I will take component 1 as a solvent and component 2 as a solute. Component 2 is solute here and component 1 is solvent here, you do remember. See, it is looking like equation of straight line y is equal to mx plus c. Y is equal to mx plus c. So, it means the total pressure of the mixture and the mole fraction of second component, they are directly proportional. They are directly proportional means they gives rise to a straight line. If you plot the total pressure, and mole fraction of the second component, so you will get a straight line, a linear, because they are related linearly, they are directly proportional. So, from this above expression, we can conclude that the total pressure over the solution can be related to, conclusion, the total pressure over the solution is related to mole fraction of any one component, mole fraction of any one component. See here, instead of converting into x2, I might have converted into x1, because by replacing x2 is equal to 1 minus x1, you will get in terms of x1. So, that is why total pressure over the solution can be related to mole fraction of any one of the components. So, second point, so according to this expression, total vapor pressure over the solution varies, total vapor pressure over the solution varies linearly with mole fraction of second component, see here, P total varies linearly with x2, that is what I am writing, linearly with mole fraction of component 2. Okay, so this is about, means this total pressure can be varied with mole fraction of any one of the components. So, but in this expression, total pressure varies linearly with mole fraction of second component. So, this is about Raoult's law and how to convert the total vapor pressure of solution with respect to any one of the components. So, now let us compare our Raoult's law with Henry's law. Let us have comparison of Raoult's law with Henry's law. So, we say Raoult's law is a special case of Henry's law. Raoult's law as special case of Henry's law. Raoult's law as special case of Henry's law. I will tell you how it is. So, dear students, you might have remember our Henry's law. It is about partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase is directly proportional to mole fraction of the gas present in the solution. So, P is equal to some kH into X. P is partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase, X is the mole fraction of the gas in solution. P is partial pressure of gas. And what is X here? X is mole fraction of gas. mole fraction of gas. Okay. So coming here, so next, according to Raoult's law, so already we have seen P1 is equal to, component P1 is equal to P1 naught into x1, and P2 is equal to P2 naught into x2. So students, observe here. So here P partial pressure, X mole fraction of the gas. Okay. So here P1 and P2 partial vapor pressures. So here P1 is partial vapor pressure of component 1. Partial vapor pressure of component 1. So similarly, partial vapor pressure of component 2. Okay. So what is x1? x1 is mole fraction of component 1. Mole fraction of component 1. Okay. So similarly, x2 is mole fraction of component 2. So dear student, you see here partial vapor pressure. Okay. So partial vapor pressure is nothing but it's like partial pressure only. Because of liquid we are calling it as partial vapor pressure. So here pressure is directly related to mole fraction. Here also partial pressure is directly related to mole fraction. What is the change? The only change is their proportionality constant. The only change is their proportionality constant. So here partial pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction, where KH, Henry's law constant, is proportionality constant. Similarly, in case of Raoult's law, this P1 naught and P2 naught, these proportionality constants are different, but they give the same meaning, because in these laws partial pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction. Only changes is proportionality constants. Hence Raoult's law is a special case of Henry's law. Raoult's law is a special case of Henry's law, because both the laws are similar, only we are going to define in the different situations. Okay. In both the cases, pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction only change is their proportionality constant. Now let us discuss vapor pressure of solid liquid solutions. So dear students, once again it is a liquid solution only. The only change is, so initially we were having liquid in liquid, now we are having solid in liquid. So the solution will differ entirely from liquid solution. Okay. So now let us dissolve a non-volatile solute into a liquid. Non-volatile solute into a liquid. What is going to happen? It's vapor pressure that we have to discuss now. So dear students, the vapor pressure of a component or vapor pressure of solution is mainly because of its solvent. Which is present in the larger quantity. Okay. So initially what happens? So both the components were liquid only. It means to say that both the liquids were having vapor pressure. Hence their vapor pressure increases with its mole fraction, what we have described in case of Raoult's law. Now when a non-volatile solute is dissolved in a solvent, its vapor pressure decreases. Very important for 1 mark. What happens to vapor pressure of solution when non-volatile solute is dissolved into the solvent? Okay. So when a non-volatile solute is dissolved in a solvent, its vapor pressure decreases. Why it is decreases? Let us understand. So consider a solution. So already a solution is there. Okay. So now in solution, this surface, if you take a liquid solution, so at this surface what happens? At this surface what happens? In liquid solutions what happens? Solutes are also volatile, solvents are also volatile. So both of them will escape from the solution. Both of them will escape from the solution. Now I have added a non-volatile solute. I have added a non-volatile solute. But once again, this solution is having both solute and solvent, and the surface is covered by, mainly I am talking about surface. The surface is covered by solute as well as solvent particles like this. So now what about the solvents which are escaping through the solution? Now it become less. So in case of liquid solutions, so both the components were liquid, both are volatile, hence the surface is covered by all the volatile components that can be easily escape from the system. So here, as the surface of the solution is covered by both solute and solvent, the escaping tendency of solvent molecule decreases. Hence, vapor pressure of solution of non-volatile solute dissolved in a solvent decreases. Hope you understood. Okay. As the solution surface is covered by both solute and solvent molecules, the escaping tendency of solvent molecule decreases. Hence, vapor pressure of a solution of non-volatile solute also decreases. Let us write. When a non-volatile solute is dissolved in, when a non-volatile solute dissolved in, when a non-volatile solute is dissolved, the vapor pressure of solution decreases. So this one is a very important point. So vapor pressure of solution decreases. Why it decreases means, this is due to the fact that number of solvent molecules escaping from the solution decreases. So number of solvent molecules escaping from the solution decreases as the surface is covered by both solute and solvent particles. Okay, so here the surface is covered by both solute as well as solvent molecules, hence escaping tendency of solvent molecules decreases. As a result, the vapor pressure of resulting solution also decreases. Dear students, remember, I have told you this vapor pressure, which is a mainly property of liquid solutions, so it is mainly connected with liquids only. Okay, so when solvent is liquid, it will be having some vapor pressure. Suppose if a solvent, liquid solvent, is volatile in nature, then its vapor pressure will be more. Okay, suppose if you are preparing a solution in which both solute and solvent are volatile in nature, the vapor pressure of such a solution is more, because the escaping tendency will be more, because both the components are volatile in nature. So now here in this case what we are discussing, so our solute is non-volatile here, whereas solvent is volatile because it is a liquid. In this case, as the surface of the solution is covered by both solute and solvent molecules, the escaping tendency of solvent molecules decreases. As a result, the vapor pressure of resulting solution also decreases. So this is what the concept of vapor pressure.